Are peptides safe for weight loss? This is a question that comes up all the time. So I'm Regan Archibald, the founder of East West Health and the creator of the Ageless Future Operating System. And what I've learned in working with over 70,000 clients that have come through our practice is that not all weight loss is the same. And some of you are going to respond very differently to peptides than others. And some of you may be overusing very important peptides like GLP-1s to lose weight and putting yourself at risk. So in this video, what I will do is I'll deconstruct all the complexity of what peptides are, and I'll also show you the safest route to reach your optimal weight without compromising future health. So let's jump in. The safest way to utilize peptides for weight loss is to work with a medical supervisor. Don't do this on your own. I mean, there's so many times where people have reached out and they've said, hey, I really want to get on peptides. I read your book, The Peptide Blueprint. And by the way, if you guys would love access to that, just go to agelessfuture.com and you can download a free copy of it. You can also find it on Amazon. But the thing that happens is when people do it on their own, they often get peptides that say for research use only. And what that means is it's coming from a facility that may or may not be a GMP certified facility. It's definitely not going to be a licensed compounding pharmacy that's overseen by the FDA and state regulatory boards. The regulations we have in medicine are typically designed to protect you. Now, I know you guys are probably like, oh yeah, some of these regulations are to support the pharmaceutical companies. I get that, but generally speaking, the medicine that we practice in the United States is the most highly regulated medicine in the world because we are world class and we're bringing innovations to the forefront of your healing journey. But if you're using for research use only, you don't know the safety profile of those peptides. You're also going to struggle with the dosing. You're going to get this lyophilized agent, so it's just this little powder, and you put some bacteriostatic water or sterile water into the solution. Then you're going to hope you've got the concentrations right. Now, if it's a GLP-1, what GLP-1s do is they tell your brain that you're full. Now, that's great because you stop eating, right? And you can go into more of a caloric deficit, and then you can lose the weight. But if you do too much of this peptide, and if you accelerate it too quickly, it also delays gastric emptying. And so there's these little cells and these receptors on your intestinal wall that are very active when it comes to GLP-1. So when you have adequate levels of this peptide called a glucagon-like peptide, and peptides are just little protein structures that turn on a cellular function. And when you have this GLP-1 that lands on these receptors in the intestines, then the intestines start to slow down because they say, oh, Regan's full, and so let's just start doing some absorption of nutrients. Let's ferment things so that the bacteria have some food. So the bacteria are making all these short-chain fatty acids, and they're going crazy because now they can actually eat, because those of you who have loose stools, especially, yep, you with ADHD, myself included, you know, our bodies, we go to the bathroom too frequently because just like our brain doesn't turn down very quickly, our digestive system just can't, it really doesn't take time to absorb things. And so in this video, hopefully you're sitting down, taking some notes so you can actually absorb the information. But when you use a GLP-1, you turn off that marker that causes your intestines to contract as frequently as it had in the past, and then you can become really backed up. And if you've ever had constipation, it is not fun. Likewise, on the other end of the spectrum, if you've ever had really forceful stools, it's not fun either, especially when there's pain involved. So the problem is, when people try to dose it on their own without medical supervision, you're putting yourself at risk because your digestive system may not be able to remove the waste as quickly as you'd like. And when you're in a caloric deficit, if you think about where in the body do you store toxins, we typically store them around fatty tissue. And that's where your brain is really critical because your brain has a lot of fat. And so you want to make sure that you're cleaning out your brain. And that's where we use these amazing plasma renewal treatments. We send you 10 vials of plasma, and once a week you're detoxifying your entire lymphatic system, all those pro-inflammatory cytokines get released from your blood and pooped out, but you got to have good elimination, because when you're releasing fat and losing weight, the reason why people put the weight back on is because they have all this toxic material that gets released as you're letting go of the fat, and it's got nowhere to go because your intestines are backed up. So it's almost like your kids tell you, I cleaned my room and I took all the garbages out. But the garbage is like, made it to the living room, and then there's a pile of garbage there, and you're out of town for a month and you think everything's handled, but the garbage is festering there. That's exactly what happens to our bodies. And then we have more issues in the future because you don't have good elimination. And this is where people will be like, they cheated, they used Ozempic or Manjaro or whatever the drug is to lose the weight. And then you'll see the weight come right back on, and they criticize the drug, they criticize the peptide, but what they didn't realize is there's a method of doing this in a safe way. Tip number 1 is talk to your medical supervisor. Whoever your medical provider is, make sure they've got knowledge in peptides. So my clinic, we've been swimming in peptides for 11 years. I'm Regan Archibald, founder of East West Health, and what I've learned in working with nearly 70,000 patients in 21 years is I've learned that peptides can be the #1 solution if they're done properly. And so that's where our medical team, everyone on my team is trained in functional medicine. I've trained personally about 1,500 doctors in functional medicine. I've written 9 books. 2 of those have been on peptides, The Peptide Blueprint and Never Stop Healing. And then I've got a new book, Ageless Future, coming out. And we know our stuff. We know what peptides work. We know how to use them, how not to use them. So the second thing is, when you're working with experts in the peptide space, you also want to make sure that they're running the right labs. If you don't test, you're just playing guessing games, and you may not be getting the full benefit from it. So make sure you run the right tests. That prescribing doctor that you're working with, make sure that they're using a compounding pharmacy. Avoid some of the research use only peptide companies. Some of these are really good, but some of them can be very risky. The third thing is detoxify. Make sure your bowels are moving properly. And so this is where, when you're using weight loss peptides, to make it even safer, you can add in KPV. It's a bioregulator peptide. It works on what's called your melanocyte stimulating hormone pathway. And it also is made in your intestines. And the intestinal wall make KPV, and it secures the borders so that you can eliminate leaky gut. So if you detoxify properly, what you'll notice is you don't have all the toxins from the fat recirculating and causing damage to your body. The best way to detoxify, we like using binders like fulvic and humic acid. You can also use some types of tea. Be careful if you're using like the senna tea, because what will happen is some of those seeds will cause your bowels to spasm a little bit. You want to aim for about 25 grams of fiber every day, so you have some good bulk in your stools. And then you want to be eliminating at least once or twice a day. And if you're not, then it's time to get off the GLPs and fix your digestive system and your liver. And you can use KPV, you can use BPC 157, and then you always want to add in a growth hormone releasing peptide like CJC 1295, ipamorelin, because what you'll notice is you'll preserve muscle mass while you're detoxifying. And then I have a whole video on how to work on your adrenals, your thyroid, and your liver. So you'll want to check that out in the show notes below. And for those of you who love the video, make sure you share this with a friend who may be experimenting with some of these peptides for weight loss, and show them that there's a very safe way to do it and there's an unsafe way. Let them know that the dosing is really where the magic is. And so if you have a slow increase in the dosing, you're going to have so much better of an experience, because you're not going to overdo it. So you want to start on the lowest dose possible, do that for 3 to 4 weeks, and then increase that dose. Do that for 3 to 4 weeks, and then increase it again if you need to. But when you're doing all the right things, you can save a fortune on GLP-1s just by adding in these other peptides and by dosing it lower, but then adding in the lifestyle, adding in detoxification. Make sure that you're eating primarily lots of really good proteins. Proteins for every meal, you want to be roughly 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, and then you want to be getting about 25 grams of fiber. I personally have loved fruit. When I'm doing a weight loss or when I'm doing a cleanse, you can add in some berries, like a handful of blueberries, some raspberries. Those are going to be great for the gut. The flavonoids are going to give you some nice energy, and they'll help your liver so that your detoxification pathways stay optimized. And then make sure that you get in the enzymes that you need so that your body can release all the toxins, all the fat, without risking your future health. All right, for those of you who want to make sure that you're not using peptides in an illegal way or self-administering, or for those of you who are worried about the muscle loss or the downregulation of your digestive system, make sure that you watch my other video on what are the best peptides for weight loss, and I'll share with you very specific strategies on how to lose weight with peptides in the safest and most effective way possible. I'll see you there.